Hey vinyl community, welcome back to Mike's Vinyl Experience. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Today I have a short video. I want to introduce to you a new series of videos that I will be doing from time to time, maybe once or twice a month. I'll talk about and select a particularly favorite artist that I want to highlight. Today I have chosen for my first inaugural video of an artist that I would like to highlight and share with you, Pablo Cruz. Let me quickly just tell you a little bit about Pablo Cruz. They were formed in 1973 in Palo Alto, California. The founding members of the band were Corey Liros on keyboards and vocals, David Jenkins as vocalist on guitars, Steve Price on drums, and Bud Cockrell on bass. Now, as indicated, they were formed in 1973 in Palo Alto, California. The name of the band, Pablo Cruz, they didn't really have anybody on the band that had a last name of Pablo or Cruz or a first name. They really just named their band Pablo Cruz, and they said this about the naming of the band. Pablo represents a real down-to-earth individual. Cruz depicts his fun-loving and easygoing attitude towards life. That's how they would respond on how did you come up with the name Pablo Cruz, and that's really kind of what the band would say. I only had one opportunity to see Pablo Cruz in the span of years that they were really together, at least the core members, from 1975 when the first album came out titled Pablo Cruz to 1985. And it was in 1980 that I saw them in concert, and they were promoting and just had released the album Part of the Game, which was a good album. They had recently released, prior to that album, their two most popular albums that they ever did, A Place in the Sun, followed up by Worlds Away. They were by far their two most popular albums that Pablo Cruz would ever release. And no question about it, Part of the Game was a great, great album, a good album, at least it was to me. I had several songs on there that I liked. In fact, the entire album's quite good. But I would remember, and I don't know if I'm catching this word for word, but they would say at the start of the concert, they would say, and I think it was Jenkins that would say this, "Welcome to the good ship, Pablo Cruz. Please enjoy the music and have a great day." I remember that, and I can't remember if it's word for word, but they were a good concert. They put on a great show. I had the opportunity with my wife to see them in 2018 once again, and there's only two founding members of the band currently still touring with the band, and I believe they are still touring in 2024. But they put on a great show, great music, and loved it. I want to go through with you anyway, the 7 studio albums that they released and talk about them just really quickly with you. And along the way, I can kind of maybe tell you a little bit why I chose Pablo Cruz as my first Artist Spotlight video series that we'll be doing from time to time, 1 or 2 a month. Something like that. But let me just kind of go through the albums with you and tell you a little bit about them really quick. Pablo Cruz released their very first album titled Pablo Cruz in 1975. It wasn't really well received. It really didn't have any real hits to speak of. Good quality sounding album. The music on it is very, very good. I have a copy of it. I can't seem to find it. It's in a couple of totes, apparently, along with my original pressing of A Place in the Sun. But it's a good album. Sound quality on it is really good. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about as we go through these albums with you, is really as well as good music. And that's really what we're talking about mostly, and the reason why I chose Pablo Cruz for this very first spotlight on an artist was the quality of the music, the good music that they are. But the sound quality on these albums is really quite good as well. And I'll tell you why. All of the albums except for 2 were mastered by Doug Sax. And so that kind of had I think, a lot to do with the quality of the sound, but the albums were great. And the first album from 1975 titled Pablo Cruz, very good album, good sounding album. I haven't pulled it out and listened to it in a long time. That is indicated, no hits on it. It really wasn't that well received, but their second album came out in 1976 called Lifeline. This album here, very good album. There's a song on here on side 2 called 0 to 60 in 5. Now, this is just an instrumental. There's no lyrics to it, but it's a great song. Probably my favorite song on this album. This is their second album called Lifeline. Extremely good album. Sound quality, as mentioned, excellent, excellent. Mastered by Doug Sax. Very, very good sounding and very good music on this album. Their next album that we'll talk about was probably their most popular album, and that could be debated between this one and the very next album, Worlds Away, that they did. But this album was really where I kind of really truly discovered Pablo Cruz, A Place in the Sun. I love the song A Place in the Sun. It is just a great, great album. This is the mobile fidelity version of the album. I do have an original pressing of this album. I just don't know where it's at. I think it's in the same tote, wherever that might be, with Pablo Cruz's original album. But the original album, mastered by Doug Sax, sounds fantastic. The mobile fidelity one sounds great too, by the way. In fact, I think it might be a little bit better even than the original, in my humble opinion. But this is a great song, or a great album, excuse me. Let me just pull the album out and tell you a little bit about it. This album in particular to me, because I played it so doggone much back in 1976, 1977 and beyond, and still do put it on my turntable quite frequently. To me, this entire album is fantastic. It is excellent. If you're not familiar with Pablo Cruz, this would be a good album to start with, in my opinion, to get to know them and to really see if you like the music. Now, keep in mind, all of these original pressings of Pablo Cruz, mastered by Doug Sax, are very easy to find. They're very, very cheap on the used market. You can get a great, very good plus, probably near mint, for, I don't know, $5 to $10. They're just not expensive, and they are great music. On this particular album, let me just show you the back side of it. As indicated, the entire album is excellent, but to be honest with you, my favorites are Raging Fire, Can't You Hear the Music? This is an album that you can't just listen to one or two songs. You're going to want to listen to the entire album. Absolutely, probably my favorite Pablo Cruz album, Pablo Cruz, A Place in the Sun. Their next album came out in 1978 titled Pablo Cruz, Worlds Away. Another absolute fantastic sounding album. Doug Sax, of course, did the mastering on this. This is another one, in my opinion, just like A Place in the Sun. This is an album that you can listen to both sides through. They're all great. There's a song on this one called Running. It's on side 1, the very last cut on it. I'm not kidding you. The intro to that is phenomenal. Listen to that song, vet it out on Spotify. This is another great sounding quality album. The music on here is nothing short of fantastic, in my opinion. This one, along with A Place in the Sun, highly, highly recommended. They're fantastic albums with incredibly great music, and the sound quality is equally as good. Pablo Cruz, Worlds Away. The next album that came out, and this is the album that I was able to go see Pablo Cruz. They were promoting this album, Part of the Game. This is another Doug Sax mastered album. Phenomenal, great sounding album. Songs on here, there's just so many good songs on here. I Want You Tonight, When Love Is at Your Door. I think the popular one, if I could remember right, on this is the title track, Part of the Game, and I Want You Tonight. Those are really kind of the popular songs on the album. Another great sounding, well recorded, well mastered album by Pablo Cruz, Part of the Game. The drums on this album in particular, I don't know why, but they really stand out. They sound great, sound fantastic. It's just a flat out excellent, excellent album by Pablo Cruz. Okay, the last two albums that they did, this is their 6th studio release, Pablo Cruz, Reflector. Great album as well. This one came out in 1981, and with this album, the music kind of changed a little bit, more to an 80s, I don't want to say new wave, but it just kind of had a little bit different sound to them. One of the things that I like about Pablo Cruz, and I don't know, maybe it's just the style of music that they play. A lot of people call it yacht rock music, and I guess it probably is. It's probably not hard rock, it's probably more soft rock. So yacht rock is probably a good analogy. This is another great sounding album. This one, along with the very next one, they were not mastered by Doug Sax. They were mastered at A&M by none other than Bernie Grundman. And they continue on with the great sound quality as well as great music. Let me pull the album out on here. The song on here that I really would like you to listen to if you get a minute is Paradise, if I can find it. I believe it's Paradise. I can't hardly read it. Yes, Paradise is the name of it. Listen to that song on this album. It's fantastic. Great, great album. Excellent sound quality. You're gonna love it. Really, really good. Bernie Grundman did the remastering, or did the mastering on this original pressing. Absolutely wonderful sounding and great music. The last studio album that Pablo Cruz did, and this was released in 1983, the group broke up in 1985, and most all of the band members kind of went their different ways. A couple of them reunited and are still touring with the band today. But this was their 7th and final studio album, Out of Our Hands, a fantastic album. Both sides of this album have wonderful, wonderful songs. Excellent, excellent sound quality. Again, this, and along with Reflector, was mastered originally by Bernie Grundman at A&M Studios. Sound quality is excellent. Musicality, absolutely fantastic. Highly, highly recommend this album as well. As we've kind of talked about, Worlds Away and A Place in the Sun, by far the most popular, most widely recognized albums for sure. Both of those albums, I think, are absolutely, every song on those albums are fantastic, at least in my opinion. One of the things that I really like about Pablo Cruz is their writing. They just have catchy songs. You know, just really, really good. Listen to Pablo Cruz if you're not familiar with them. Jump on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever it is that you listen to your music, and kind of vet them out. As we talked about, these albums in their original form, original pressings of these albums, can be had for very, very little money. Very, very little money. In fact, I think very good plus to near mint would range from $5 to $15 each. And I would imagine somewhere around $10 would get you an excellent copy of any of these albums. They all sound fantastic. Sound quality on every one of them is just first rate and excellent. As indicated, Doug Sax did the first 5, Bernie Grundman did the last 2. Wow, you gotta be kidding me, right? Sound quality is fantastic, but more so than sound quality, the music is really, really excellent on these albums. Pablo Cruz, I think, was a great, great band back in their time frame from 1975 to 1985. Great, great, great music. Highly, highly recommend it. This kind of wraps up my first video on spotlighting a particular group or an artist Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is this something that I should continue on doing? Is there any groups, artists out there that you would like me to consider doing these? I think I'm going to probably do at least 1 or 2 a month of these, as we throw this in with a mix of record reviews, repressing reviews, and many other types of things. In particular, I've been doing quite a bit of repressing vinyl reviews, and we've got 2 more coming up. We're going to be reviewing our very next video, the next 2 Pablo records as part of the Analog Production subscription series that they are doing. We're going to be doing those 2 albums coming up here right away, as well as the Rhino High Fidelity, Black Sabbath. I'm going to be taking a look at that. I'm excited for that album. I've got mine. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I just looked on the website. Apparently it is sold out. One of their better, faster selling high fidelity albums. So we'll be taking a look at that, as well as many, many other things. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate that very much. But most importantly to me, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day.